Welcome back, everybody. We are now at the last leg of our journey through the vision of a data culture where every employee gets the tool and data to get insight, and insights are driving every decision in the organization. And we went through two sessions already. We had Justina showing us the amazing data experiences to capture the hearts and mind of every single individual. She blew our mind away. I know we had tons of fun there. And then came Christian, who showed how the IT folks and the BI professionals, you know what, he recycled our mind and blew them away with these amazing features. And who didn't love the composite models and the deployment pipelines? Amazing. Christian showed us how we can scale the deployment to hundreds of thousands of users in the organization, really cover everybody there, meeting the most demanding enterprise needs. And you think you cannot be blown again? Well, Will is going to do it again. We are going to get to the third circle now. It's all about the decisions, bringing the insights to where decisions are made. We know decisions are not being made in the BI system. They are being made where you are, where you work, who you talk to, when you talk to. So we are just weaving BI capabilities into every aspect of the infrastructure, every aspect of the experiences, every aspect of your systems. And we're going to talk about how we integrated data stack into action, into the trust centers, and into the Office suite. And you have to see what's coming in the Office suite. I'm going to, Will is going to blow your mind. Look for the Teams demo, look for the Excel demo. Will, take it away.
Thanks very much, Amir. Thank you, everybody, and welcome to my office. I'm actually in the office. My home network was struggling, so I decided that we'd come in here. I've got my mask, so I'm staying safe, I'm staying healthy. I hope you are all as well. My name is Will Thompson. I'm one of the group program managers for Power BI. I look after most of the experiences for creators, so people who are building models, building reports. And I'm going to talk you through this outer circle, as Amir said. We're going to start with the data stack. And at Microsoft, data and our data platform, most of that lives kind of in Azure. Azure is this huge system for managing that data throughout your entire organization. And for us, integrating that with Power BI means really, really deep integration. In particular, we've been working on some areas around integration with Azure Synapse Analytics. Now, if you don't know, Synapse Analytics was the evolution of Azure SQL Data Warehouse, and it brings together the traditional data warehouse type modeling with data lakes, with Spark storage, Spark clusters, but also with things like your data ingestion pipelines, with your Python notebooks and other analytic capabilities. But then also on the other end, the enterprise data modeling that you can build with Power BI hooked up to the same data, and even the reporting brought into one single workspace. So you've got one place for a data professional to manage all of that capability. And for us on the Power BI side, we're doing more. We're not just doing this. This is a preview that we launched last year, and there's some more that we're working on. We're working on three areas. One is around performance and making sure that when you scale those data platforms up, you get great performance using Power BI on top of that. We're also working on integrating the monitoring and security aspects so that if you're looking at logs from both the Synapse Analytics side and the Power BI side, you can do that in one place. And we're also working on bringing modeling experiences to the Synapse portal too. So the same enterprise data modeling capabilities that you have in Power BI Desktop in the future will be coming to the web portal as well. I'm going to focus on the performance side for a little demo here as well. And particularly something that we've been working on called usage-based optimization. This is making sure that we've got an optimal performance for users who are using Power BI against those Synapse data warehouse data models. And I've got a little video that shows kind of how this is going to work. What we're doing is looking at the query patterns and the types of information people are asking for through from Power BI back to Synapse Analytics. And we're tuning specifically to those queries and self-optimizing and self-tuning over time. So here I've got a report that's connected to one of these Azure Synapse data warehouses with 160 billion rows of data in it. So plenty of data. And the first report that we're going to run, I'm going to hit refresh. And this is running without these optimizations. It's going to take some time. So I'm going to squish it down into the corner. And now on another instance, I'm going to go turn on this database tuning. And what this is going to build is a set of materialized views that helps answer the questions that we see as we analyze the queries that are coming in from Power BI. So it's self-tuning based on the way that people are using this report. And now if I go and refresh it, you'll see the queries come back in just a matter of seconds. So there's a huge performance increase. Go back to the old one. The first one still hasn't finished yet. We are seeing huge improvements in the performance for this. And it's by being able to build these materialized views, pre-calculate them, but it's doing it in the Synapse layer. We're not duplicating data up to Power BI. We're just making sure that everything is managed in one place, but you're getting that performance alongside it. Really exciting stuff with the way we're integrating there with Azure. Let's move around the circle. So when it comes to action and taking action, of course, Power BI is part of the Power Platform. And for us, that means being able to build solutions where you can analyze and take actions on your insights in one place without having to go to different tools, moving around between them all the time. And we've seen in the last couple of months some fantastic solutions that people have been building in response to the COVID crisis, where people are managing hospital admissions or managing PPE distribution around key workers using Power BI and the Power Apps visual embedded inside their reports. But we're doing more, obviously. Where are we going next with this? Well, you may have heard earlier today, one of the things we're working on is a direct query connector to CDS, to the Common Data Service. And this means that anytime you're using Power Apps and writing data into that CDS, if you build your Power BI reports on top of it, you'll get near real-time reporting directly on top of that. And the great thing about this new connector is it works just like a SQL Server connector. So if you're used to building direct query reports on top of SQL Server, you can do the same thing with the CDS connector. You get all the same rich entities and relationships come through from CDS to make it easy to build your models and your reports. And it means that when you start analyzing them, you start changing things in your Power Apps visual, write that in, the visuals get updated automatically. Not only the Power Apps side, we're also integrating further on the Power Automate side. One of the first things that we heard when we launched the Power Apps visual was, hey, when are you going to do this for Power Automate? When can I kick off my Power Automate flows from within my Power BI report? Well, I'm really excited to show you a demo of how we're doing exactly that. So I have a report here where I'm playing the part of somebody who manages online events, not dissimilar to what we're doing today. So on the left-hand side, I've got information about the registrations that we've had for our different events across different regions. And over here on the right, I've got information about the campaigns that we've been running to try and drive more registrations to these events. And we use something called MailChimp, which is a third-party tool to run these campaigns and to send these emails about getting people to register. But not everybody in my organization would have access to MailChimp or know how to use it. So as a report author, what I can do is add a button here that allows people to kick off these campaigns on my behalf. And I'm going to use Power Automate to wire up the button in the report here over to MailChimp and then write some records to say, hey, this campaign got run and here's how many results we've seen from it. So how do I do that? I've added the button already, but I need to tell Power Automate and MailChimp who should I be sending these emails to. And I've got information here about particular audiences that I'm just going to bind into the Power Automate visual. So now it will know when I filter by particular regions or particular events, who should I target with this email. What I can do with the visual is go into this full screen editing experience, which works just like the Flow portal would do. So you'll get a rich experience where you can choose from your existing flows if you have them, or you can create new ones, either from scratch or using one of the pre-built templates. I'm going to use this one that hooks Power BI and MailChimp up together. Just go validate the connections. And I'm dropped into the regular Flow editing experience. So if you're used to working with Flow through the portal, you'll recognize this. And you'll see it's already picked up the bit of dynamic information that I dragged over in the audience ID. So all I need to do now is bind that over to MailChimp and say, hey, this is the audience that I want you to target when I run this flow. Let's go back to the report now. And I'm going to put on the hat for somebody who's just consuming this report, somebody who's running the event and wants to launch one of these campaigns. So I'm going to choose the event that I'm interested in, storytelling with data. And I can see that this South region has got really low registrations. And in fact, we have only run one campaign so far. So I'm going to kick off a new one. Now, when I click the button, it's going to take the context of the filters and selections that I've already made and pass that through. So we're binding the context of what you're analyzing through to the action that we're going to take. So I'm going to run that campaign. This is going to send that information over to MailChimp. It's going to generate an email and send it through to us. And hopefully it's going to appear in my inbox in just a second. I'll give it 3 seconds to run. Maybe not. OK. Ah, there it is. Great. So the email's arrived. And we've also written that information back into CDS. So all I need to do in my report is hit refresh, and I can see that new campaign has been launched today. We haven't had anybody click through from it yet, but I'm sure that'll start to go up over time. So I've bound together Power BI, Power Automate, CDS into a single solution that really helps me solve this business problem about managing events and driving registrations. Let's move on to the trust quadrant here. For us, Microsoft runs on trust, and we know that it is vitally important for every organization out there that you can trust the data that you're using and relying on to make all those decisions. And Microsoft's in a fortunate position here because we're a leader in the information security and trust space as well. And if you haven't heard of a product called Microsoft Information Protection, I really recommend you check it out. You may not know the name, but you probably know the effect of it. You've probably seen emails where you've got little banners on them saying, hey, this is confidential information, you can't forward it outside of your organization. Or in Office, you open up a document and it's got that yellow bar saying, hey, you can't share this, you can't redistribute it. That's Microsoft Information Protection labeling at work. And I'm really excited that we'll soon be GAing the same capability in Power BI. We showed this off last year at Embass as a preview, but we're now getting ready to GA it, where you'll be able to say, hey, there's a data set in Power BI, and apply those same labels so that you can trust that that data isn't going to get accidentally spread outside your organization or misused. Even if you export that data to Excel or to PDF, the same labeling is going to get applied. And we're going further, obviously, with this. In the future, we'll be bringing Microsoft Information Protection labels into Power BI Desktop. So as a report author, if I'm connecting to data, mashing things up, I can also say, hey, this data is going to be labeled. It's really important to us. It's sensitive or it's confidential data. And now that label will continue to flow all through the rest of the system, wherever that data is being used. And how do we do that? Well, we're going to bring these inheritance capability throughout the Power BI stack. So when you're connecting to data and you're saying, hey, this is sensor data, your data flows, the data sets on top of them, the reports and dashboards that get created, those labels will get inherited throughout the system, even into those PDFs and Excel documents or whatever exports you do, including if you use things like Analyze in Excel or some of the other features of Excel that I'm going to show you a little bit later on. So when you have a live connection to that data, the Excel document is still being labeled appropriately. Really great stuff. And this is the one way that Microsoft can really show, hey, we understand that trusting your data is vitally important to every business. Okay, moving up to the last piece here is around collaboration. And for us, what this really means is thinking about the users and thinking, how do we meet the users where they are? How do we bring the data to them? They don't need to come to us, to Power BI, to get that data. And so, we know that there are millions of users out there who are using Office day in, day out, and that's where they start their day. Office.com, for example, where they're going to go and find documents they've recently been working on, other people they collaborate with regularly, and see what other people are working on, and launch applications from there too. And this is an area where we're doing more to integrate. I've got a demo for this one here. Okay, so I'm on the Office homepage here, office.com, and you can see all of the applications that I use and the documents that I've been recently editing. We've been working frantically away on different versions of this demo, of this presentation. But you can see here in my recents, I can see Power BI documents that are appearing here now as well. So we're going to be integrating the Power BI content that people use regularly right into Office. So they'll appear in these recents. This is just reports in my workspaces. They'll appear in my search results as well. So if I look for my campaign registrations, I'll see the reports appear up in here as well. And this just means that wherever you are using Office, you've got access to your Power BI content just the same as your Word documents, your PowerPoints, and everything else. Oops. I have one more thing to show. I nearly forgot. How could I forget this? Not just Office, SharePoint as well. We know that there are millions of people out there using SharePoint on a regular basis, particularly using SharePoint as a way to collect data and collect information, power their business processes. And as an example, I've got another SharePoint list here where I'm capturing some information. Let's say we're taking an in-person event and moving it to an online presence. Again, something we're very familiar with. What we did here is we said, hey, all those people who had registered for our in-person event, Let's go survey them and see what were the ones, what sessions were they most interested in. We can prioritize those for our online one. And I use one of the SharePoint templates to help manage this list for managing the events and sessions. But I've got a load of data here, and I want to get some insights on this. What I'm really excited to show is how we will be enabling every SharePoint list user to get insights from Power BI on their SharePoint list data in just one click. I've got a little button here that says Analyze in Power BI. And when I click this, what's going to happen, Power BI is going to set up a model connected to that SharePoint list, and then automatically generate these visuals on top of it. So these were not pre-generated. This is something that has been created on the fly based on the data in that SharePoint list. So I can see how many sessions there were over different categories. And because it's a Power BI report or Power BI visuals, I can slice and dice, just as you'd expect. I can click around and choose different fields to go and help understand what's the set of data that I'm working with here. What are the sessions that people are most interested in? More than that, though, as a report, as the SharePoint list owner, what I could do is say, I want to build this out further in Power BI, and I can go to town on it. I can make this report look really nice, and then embed the results of that back here alongside my list in SharePoint. So now anybody who's coming to view this list can see this beautiful, nicely formatted, very interactive, obviously it's Power BI after all, report where I can click and drag, clicky, draggy, droppy to do my analytics to find those insights without losing context of what I was looking at in that SharePoint list. So this is going to be available for every single SharePoint user. Really excited to see this for people and see how they'll start using SharePoint list data through Power BI. Now, we couldn't talk about collaboration without talking about Teams. You know, Teams is totally on a tear. Over the last couple of months, we've seen a huge increase in users there. And we on the Power BI team see that that is another place that we need to go and meet the users. And I've got a sneak peek here, just as a video of kind of where we're thinking we're going with Teams. We've already integrated the Power BI reports into tabs in Teams channels. We want to go further than that. Typically, you know, users who are used to working in Teams, they'll be familiar with chatting and using different channels to share and collaborate on information. But down the left-hand side, you'll also see that you can have applications embedded as part of Teams. And we're going to make Power BI one of these too. So right within the Teams environment, I can go and see the Power BI homepage. And for a new user, I've got samples, I've got tutorials around the basics that I was going to that I would want to know. But I can see for existing users, frequently used, favorite reports, even featured reports that maybe are curated by my organization or public reports that are available too. And of course, I can click through to one of these to get the full screen Power BI experience too. So right here, still inside Teams, I can do my analysis, I can find something interesting. But more than that, I can then share this. And of course, I can then go and chat with somebody and send it to a channel and say, hey, here's something interesting I found. But you'll notice the link that I'm creating here, it's a deep link back to this report. And it'll show, when somebody goes and clicks on it, exactly the same filters and selections that were made when I created the link in the first place. So when I go back to the report, you'll see that first row, Power BI, has been selected here as well. So this is how we're bringing Power BI into Teams for Teams users. So people will be able to collaborate, find insights, share those with other people right within Teams without having to change their context. Okay. The final piece around collaboration is Excel. Again, there are millions of people out there using Excel as an analysis tool, and we think it's only fair that we give them access to Power BI data as well in a really seamlessly integrated way. So when it comes to Excel, we're doing two things. The first thing is providing a way to allow people to just go and get data directly from Power BI. This is going to be game-changing in the way that people use Excel to go and find data that Power BI is managing. So I can connect all the Power BI data sets that are available to me, and it'll bring down the list of those data sets that I can access, and I'll see the endorsements that are applied to them as well. So if I have certified or promoted data sets, they appear here too. I'm going to search for some more of the information about these online events, if I can type it properly. And this is now going to make a connection up to that data set and give me a pivot table in my grid as well. And it's a live connection. So my data is staying in Power BI. I'm not exporting the data, pulling it down to Excel. And of course, it's a pivot table, so I can just start dragging and dropping to create the different things to analyze the data in different ways to start finding out what are the insights that I want to find. So it's going to run that query again and just give me the results of this. Now, of course, it's a pivot table, so I can do all the sorts of things you'd expect. I can sort, I can apply different formatting. Let's do some conditional formatting. Everybody likes a data bar, right? So, I could even take my pivot table, maybe create a pivot chart on top of this, all the sorts of things that you'd expect to commonly do in Excel. Super simple, but the data is staying managed in Power BI. And of course, all of those security labels I was talking about before, they all flow through as well. So that's one piece. The other side is leveraging a feature that Excel shipped recently called data types. Now, Excel data types, you may or may not be familiar with. This is something that shipped a little while ago where we can, rather than just storing text or numeric data in the Excel grid, we can elevate that to storing information about entities, rich information about the things that power my business, the customers, the products, whatever it might be. Stock symbols is a really good example where anybody can type in MSFT, AAPL, whatever it would be, say, hey, this is a stock symbol. And now you get information about the tickers, the highs and lows, even information about the companies, like their addresses. The first piece of feedback that the Excel team got when they shipped this was, hey, that's fantastic. I want to do it for my own organization's data. And the big request that we heard was Power BI is the place where that data is. So I'm really excited to say that we've integrated to allow Power BI entities to become these Excel data types. So here I've got some quick notes that I took, some customers I spoke to and comments they had. And I'm going to say that, hey, this customer field is actually one of these customer entities. And I can see that it's coming from a certified data set in a particular Power BI workspace. And when I click that, watch what happens to these items. They'll get corrected so that the name of the customer is matched up with the actual data from the Power BI data set. So you can see Quick Stop got capitalized, Santa Gourmet got an apostrophe on it, sorry, an accent on it. And let's Stop and Shop, we weren't quite sure. So it provides this kind of disambiguation to say, hey, it's actually that customer. Now that I've done that, I've got this little symbol to show me, hey, there's some information behind this. And I can click it to see these entity cards that give me more detailed information coming from those entities in Power BI. So I can say, well, who's the person I need to contact to this customer? So I can see their names, I can see their, their title. I could even find their phone number, so I know know how to get in touch with them. I can even bring in numerical information, things like the orders, the amount that we've got on order from them. So I can format this. I can again apply some conditional formatting or whatever I might want to do to that. And it's a live connection back to that entity. So if I wanted to do something else, let's say I speak to another customer and they say they're called Gourmet Lunch, it's going to make that connection up there as well, and it's going to go and query. And it's going to connect the title, and it's going to automatically pull in the name and the title and the phone number and all the other information that I've requested from them. Really powerful way to bring those entities that are managed in Power BI datasets down to every single Excel analyst into the grid. So, wow, a whole bunch of things that we've talked through, covering everything across that outer circle, showing how we're weaving Power BI into every inch of the fabric of your organization, from the data stack to taking action on those insights, to the trust centers that we know are so vitally important, to the collaboration platforms and office tools that you use day in, day out, all powered by this data culture to provide everybody the insights they need to drive every single decision based on data. Thank you very much.